Emma, I looked up our starting point together, which was on your onboarding form, and you wrote the words, done shrinking into versions of myself I don't recognize anymore. Decades masking, exhausting, and soul destroying. Tell me what was going on for you when you wrote that.
So when I wrote that, I was just starting, obviously, with your program, but I was also just setting up my business. So it was something that was brand new. It was a huge turning point for me because I had always, prior to that, worked in other businesses. I'd always been in corporate roles and love doing it. Despite what that sort of couple of sentences sounds like in that onboarding form, but actually I really found a really great rhythm with coaching and leading people that I absolutely love doing. And then I applied that across operations and transformation. But I also absolutely exhausted myself doing it. And it's only getting answers much later in life. 2 years ago, I got my ADHD diagnosis. And actually, last month, my autism diagnosis. So still looking for answers and still getting more information. It isn't a sort of one and done, but it really helped me. You can only see the connections when you look backwards, can't you? And rather than when you're in the thick of it. But looking back and connecting those dots, I could see why I believed there was a certain version of success. And God, did I go for it? I absolutely went for it. I was very ambitious. But the way that I did that cost me so much in terms of my energy. I would go a million miles an hour for work and then I'd crash at the weekend. I couldn't really hold down sentences or manage much more than that. And it took a lot out of me. And I think part of the reason I wanted to join the program was I have learned that. And whilst that is a period of my life that was very, very difficult because of that cost, I wouldn't change it because I am where I am because of it. And I learned so much from it. And that's not just the things that I know how to do, but also the people I know and the network that I have and the connections that exist for me. So if I'm going to build my own business, that's really exciting. But we all know ourselves that you default to your normal behaviors, don't you? Your habits and routines. And I wanted to do it properly, for want of a better word. Like, how do I make sure that I learn from someone who has built a very, very successful business, take the bits that, I think copy with pride and adapt the bits that maybe would be slightly different for me. And that's why I wanted to build the business and start the program at the same time.
I'm shocked that it's only been 8 months or so since you started your business. You have done so well in terms of gaining engagement, for example, on LinkedIn, building your relationships with people. Tell me more about how you have done that.
I think I have a natural curiosity for things, or rather, I'm either into something or I'm not. I don't really have a happy medium. Like I've only got two speeds as well. It's 1,000 miles an hour or it's absolutely horizontal. And I can go all in on something and wanting to understand more about people. Who else is doing what I'm doing? Who's doing it but doing it in a slightly different way? And who's very, very similar to me? Who's completely different to me? And how can I understand different things that they do? And it just gave me a really interesting playground to mess about in. And I think anyone who gets their content strategy or how they want to show up right first time is an absolute hero. Most people I speak to just said it takes me some time to find that rhythm, or like you say, test and learn. You'll put something out and it's absolute tumbleweed, and then you'll write something took you about 3 seconds to do, and it was more just sort of, here are my views on why it's really annoying when it's dead hot, and absolutely kicks off because there's something in it that people really connect with. And I don't think that's something that the algorithm can predict or can sort out. I think that comes from how things resonate with people and how you phrase it. It's your version of what you're saying, isn't it? I've also got to admit that I've spent days on LinkedIn and couldn't tell you what I've done with it. I think that there needs to be a balance. And I think that's one of the things I've definitely found helpful with being able to spend time with other coaches. We were having a sort of little like accountability group catch up, and I just went, I'm down really, really sort of stressed with spending time on LinkedIn. I just post them and never check them again. I'm like, I love that.
Yeah, I forgot you were in a group with Barbara. Yeah, she's amazing. And it's so good, isn't it, to hear another perspective, because you're so in your head, you think that that's the only way. It's like today I had 2 other podcast interviews, and both of them thought that these were prep calls. I'm like, do you think I'm the type of person to prep? We're going for it straight. So what did you find helpful about the program?
The thing that drew me to it was access to your brain, your blueprint of what you did, how you did it, what you learn. And I know you're constantly refining it. I think it should always be like that, because you learn new things, and you've also got a load of other people in there that you can learn things from yourself as well, which I think is the beauty of having that community. You can find millions of videos and how-to guides on setting up a business, and specifically, a coaching business. And I think sometimes it's good to get lots of opinions, but also I think sometimes it's good to have a consistent line through it that then you can adapt and tweak and sort of pull things around. It was also really helpful because my brain is wired for novelty. So the things that I think are exciting, I will jump to. And every so often I'd realize, okay, that's great. I'm on step 6, but I've missed 4 and 5. So I'm going to need to go back. So just having that structure and that reminder meant that I could pull myself back to it. And you're going, have you done these other bits? And I'm going, no, I know I have not. I have not done that at all, right? I will go back and do that. So yeah, I think that was the first thing for me. That is just a gift to be able to get someone's insights like that.
And my favorite memory of you was doing your first LinkedIn Live with Daisy, because you just reminded me of me so much. Like, I could see it in your face. You were going, what am I doing here? But the most amazing thing is you did that. So tell us more about that sort of, what probably was scary at the time. Will you tell us?
So we all, I think there were maybe sort of 10 of us, went, oh yeah, let's do a LinkedIn Live. Like, that'd be great fun. And Daisy, bless her, took on, right, I'll go away and organise it. And I came back the morning of to find a message from Daisy that she'd sent to me on the Wednesday evening saying, so it looks like it's just you and me, Emma. I hope that's cool. And I was like, but then I thought, what's the worst that can happen, apart from looking like a complete idiot? But I just thought, it'll be fun. Like, we're talking about what we know and what we're doing. And actually, it turned out to be great fun. Daisy and I just carried on talking for ages, and yeah, really, really enjoyed it. So yeah, nerve-wracking, but again, ADHD, we love a deadline. Like, otherwise you will just sit and perfect for hours and hours and hours.
Exactly. And I remember you saying that you enjoyed learning that you find it easier to speak out loud than write, perhaps.
The content creation, I was finding either came really, really easily, or you get in that sort of analysis paralysis of perfecting and does this sound like me? And part of that, I think, definitely is from years and years of masking and not wanting to be misinterpreted. And I would have spent ages, perfecting a pack that was going to go out, or an email that was going to go to lots of senior stakeholders. And what have I written that could possibly be misconstrued in a way that I didn't mean to come across? And I've definitely carried some of that through in writing, and I can write the whole thing and just go, what am I actually, so what? Like, what do I want it? And it can just take me a lot of refining. Whereas I find when I talk, it flows, but also then I know if I want to go back and amend something, you can still clarify quite quickly and on the spot. And I definitely preferred that. And the other thing is, I think it gets a bit more of you. I'm sure you can see this. I wave my hands around when I'm quite expressive when I talk, whereas your, like, a post is quite flat, isn't it? words on a page. So I think both have meaning and purpose, but I definitely prefer speaking. It feels much more fluid to me.
And in terms of the ADHD then and business, that can obviously also be a challenge because there's so many exciting things we could be doing. But one thing you did was set yourself 5 comments, 5 connections, 5 DMs every day. How did you make that stick, or have you made that stick?
So I have to find something that's really visual. So I've got like a notepad on here that's like an A3 one that I was marking off. I do this an awful lot with my clients. Getting started is the hardest thing. So make it the smallest possible commitment. And actually, even on a day that you feel rotten, if you only do one of those things, that is still better than nothing. And again, a bit like going to the gym. If I tell myself I'm only going to go for 10 minutes, I will stay for an hour because I'm there by then, aren't I? So that smallest, lowest bar, I find very, very helpful to just start the habit.
So you came into the program thinking one-to-one coaching, and you have done quite a few other things since then. Tell us a bit more about how your business has evolved or where you're at now.
Yeah, I came into it knowing and being actually quite comfortable with that what I do now might be completely different in 6 to 12 months. And I'm all right with that. I think you can't possibly know all the things, and sometimes they evolve for the right reason. But I went on to do the exec coaching. They were really excited that we don't have anyone who specializes in neurodiversity. Like, this would be great. We're being able to cover that. And that's what I went to go and do. And it's grown into so much more. I loved going over to, I've got a lot of family in Wales, but being able to go and have conversations with teams who are genuinely interested in just wanting to know more and wanting to do the right thing, but not make a mistake. And I totally get that. I've been a manager, I've worked with HR, and I know, as both being a neurodivergent employee and manager and senior leader, like, feeling like you need to know all the answers is really, really hard. And you don't, because no one expects you to know more than most doctors do. So you don't need a medical degree. But it was definitely something in helping businesses demystify neurodiversity. And that's something I'm really, really passionate about, because otherwise you end up with unmanageable thousands of reasonable adjustments and requests because people know more about it and they want to, quite rightly, want to make sure that they can show up in the best way. And actually, I found that my background in lean transformation came in really well there, because let's not think about individuals. It's absolutely right for your one-to-one conversation about how we support you as a person. But if you think of it broader as systemic design, inclusive design for everyone, if you're going to change something for one person, why wouldn't you look at it for someone else? Because working from home helps me because it reduces overstimulation, less distractions, unless it's the dog barking. But why wouldn't you do that for a mother so that she can go and do the school run? She's got more flexibility then. You can make sure that you don't need to choose between one or the other. Mm. And I think just being able to have that conversation and that sort of permission to, what are the non-negotiables and what are the things that you could change if you could, and let's look at those.
Yeah. So, what has changed in your business then, thinking back to the beginning of this year, roughly, when you started your business? What's different now?
What's different now is that I have that mixture of B2C and B2B, and I really enjoy that variety. I do also think you very quickly get to a limit with one-to-one clients. One-to-one coaching is incredible because you can get to a depth, you know people really well. But there is a limit to how much you can do and how many clients you can have on at the time to make sure that you're giving them the best version of yourself and you're not stretched too thin. So being able to do more stuff that is one-to-many is also really, really valuable, and means that you can still have that impact and still have that opportunity for one-to-one. I think as I'm looking for what does 2027 mean, that one-to-many model, I'm really, really interested in how do I make that happen, because I think that's your propensity to scale. I wouldn't want to lose the one-to-one because I really, really do enjoy that level of detail. And I think still other opportunities come from that, but also being able to have that strategic thinking partner for, right, what is the thing that we're going to focus on and change that just feels really valuable work. There was a session you did on deep nurture that I think really helped how I thought about social media and posting. And I think that visibility and showing up piece is really, really important, but without the right intention and without the right balance, it can very quickly be quite exhausting. And that really made me think about, okay, well, where are my areas of deep nurture? Where am I really, really investing in those connections? And whether that's podcast, guesting and email marketing and different areas that I can have that deeper connection. That was really, really helpful. It also made me think about, I have got so many like rich, valuable connections, rich as in wealthy, although I'm sure they are, but rich as in quality connections already existing, that I think there can be a temptation to just keep making more connections and growing and meeting more people. And that is helpful to a point. But actually, if you've got people that you started to build really good relationships with, where are your collaboration opportunities in there? And I think that's the thing I'm really excited for, to go deep with some of those over the next few months. We're looking at doing coaching sprints that combines my sort of cognitive frameworks and operational focus, neurodivergent friendly, so works for even the scattiest of us, but will work for everyone. And then her marketing strategy and execution. And just really excited about that because we've already had quite a lot of interest in it, but it's really nice to sometimes work with other people on things because we spend so much time, like you say, in our own echo chamber.
Yeah. And you were a real community person in the group. So tell us more about the community aspect or the relationships you've built within the program.
Yeah, it's lovely to meet so many people at different stages of their business. And there's something really, really nice about going into an environment where everyone's so happy to help people. There's no trying to get one up on other people, or, there's a quote, we all do well when we all do well. Like, there's enough for us all to go around. And I think that freedom of sharing, that's not without, I'm not going to give away my trade secrets. Everyone's just so willing to just go, oh, if you tried this, like I did that and I made a right mess of it. But, I can show you what I learned type thing. And it's that sharing and humility without ego that just makes it such a lovely place to be, because I know straight away whether or not I can be myself in an environment, and whether or not I am comfortable showing vulnerability or weakness, or where I've messed something up. And I think unless you've got that psychological safety to just go, I've completely stuffed, I don't even know where to start with this, or I've made a real mess. That's where you learn. That's where you get the most growth. And I think not having that, the opposite, is really dangerous. That's when people stop. That's when businesses shut down, because someone's got stuck and has either not know where to go for help or not know how to ask. And that's the opposite of what you want, isn't it?
And so many business owners are ADHD and running businesses. So tell us more about how you handle all of the shiny objects that come up. And lots of people do ask that within the program of, like, I'm ADHD, will I be able to manage?
I think there's definitely an awful lot of ADHD business owners, and there's that nature nurture. Is it people that are naturally drawn to one thing, or they just couldn't exist in a corporate environment, so come hell or high water they found a way to make it work? But I think the thing for me is, there is no silver bullet, there is no right or wrong answer, I'm afraid, but you've got to find what works for you. And I know that's the easiest thing to say and the hardest thing to do, but it's paying attention to when does this feel fun? When does work feel like, I can't believe I make a living do this? Do more of that stuff. the other stuff that you feel that real resistance to, is it a skill gap that you can fill, or can you outsource it? Can you get something to automate it away so that you never need to think about it? Or actually, is that when you invest in a VA or a marketing expert or something else? Do you get your own coach? Because I think there's always a great need to, if you are going to coach, to have coaching yourself and listen to those things. So I don't tend to have calls before midday. My morning is my golden time. That's when I get stuck into stuff, problem solving and fixing, and I have client calls or speak with other people after lunch. If I do it the other way, then I feel like I start the day behind, and I've done it before and I just know that that doesn't work for me, and that's okay. No one's telling me I have to do it a different way. That's my choice and that's what works for me. So I think find those things, find that golden time, and find the things that feel like dossing, that you can't believe that you actually get to make a living do that and be able to do more of those things.
Totally. And it just reminds me of you using the word playground at the beginning of this call. So I do find you do have to find the play and the joy in what you're doing and experiment and feel a bit lighter with it, which I've definitely seen you do. Tell us more about how you've had the courage to do those things.
Networking is not something I do very easily. I would normally have been the person sort of hiding around the side or looking for someone that I know. So to walk into a room of people I don't know is my idea of hell. In some ways, it is a little bit easier online because you're kind of all face to face and on your little screens and whatnot. But I have to find things that bring me joy. And if I go and it was a terrible experience, then I won't go again. But I'm looking for where I can see myself, where I can learn from other people. Sometimes it's not looking for the clients, it's looking for people who can connect you to other people. And as I say, I've found people, again, with great generosity, who can just go, oh my God, like I know 5 people I can introduce you to. Send me your details and like, let's catch up. And again, I think it's going into quite big networking events. I'm probably not going to follow up with all of those people, but even if there's 2 or 3 that we go away and we have a further catch up and that then develops into something else, it's not trying to spread yourself too thin, looking for the things that really feel like a good connection and either something very aligned with what you do or very different that you would like to know more about.
Yeah. So if someone is listening and maybe they are in their job or thinking about starting a business, what advice would you give to that person looking back on where you were maybe 8 months ago?
Oh, to have a really good think about what it is that you want to do. Sometimes that's blank page stuff. And if I could do anything, what is that, like your big sort of wish list of what would it look like? Where would I live? What would my day look like? And plan that perfect day and week. Because I think definitely myself included, and I know quite a few people who have moved from corporate to running their own business, you start with the desire to have complete freedom and to do things exactly as you want, but you very, very quickly default into the pattern that you used to have. Do I always need to be at my desk at this time? Can I go to the gym at the middle? Like those things that you want to do, you have to start doing them from the start, because there's never some magical period where everything lines up and all of a sudden you cut your hours in half or what have you. Definitely think, get yourself a financial runway, probably more than you think. If you can get 12 months expenses saved, you are in a very good position because it takes that pressure off you. And I think just enjoy it. What are the things that you would take from what you're doing now that you want to replicate? What are the things you are good at? If you've ever done your CV the first time over and you have to go, what do I do? What do I know? That is an awful thing to try and do completely afresh. But it's a really good challenge to have a think about, what are all my transferable skills? What are the things that I could say yes to? Because like we've talked about, what you start off doing might not be what you end up doing. So if someone says, oh, would you be able to do this? You can go, yes, I can do that. Absolutely. have a think about those. What do you do and know that fixes a problem someone else would pay for?
Oh, you summarised that perfectly. And I think most people aren't really aware of that when they go into business, that actually we're paid to fix problems. Would you recommend the programme? And if so, who to?
Definitely to anyone who is just starting out, but also, and I think again from the experience I had with lots of other people in the program, it's not a one and done. It's you can come back to this at any time. There's people in there that have been running their own businesses for 20 years and still get so much value out of it, because it's not necessarily just about the business basics. It's about the daily repeatable actions that make that business successful. But I knew I wanted to have something from the start before I got 6 months into it, thinking I can wing it and then going, oh, I'm going to have to unpick all of this. I wanted to get that really firm foundation from the start.
Yeah, totally. And you're so right. It genuinely is for anyone at any stage of the journey. The stuff I teach is the stuff I need to do at my stage of the journey. Therefore, like, it's always moving. And I think in such a fast-paced world with AI and just everything feeling like it changes so quickly, that we just need to keep finding new, exciting ways, keeping the joy, being curious. It's like we always need to keep innovating.
Interesting point about the AI. I think some people get really sort of hung up on it, but I don't think AI is going to replace what we do anytime soon. It has a place in what we do because it can be a useful tool, but what it's certainly shown me, definitely over the last year, is that's when your human connections matter more than ever, because the human experience is messy and raw and very specific and very detailed, and those are the things that people connect to. Those are the things that really make something textured and interesting, rather than beige. And that is where you're going to stand out. It's also where you're going to repel people, and you've got to be all right with that.
Yeah, and great way to finish of, like, basically be your messy, imperfect self, because you will call in your people, and that's exactly what you've done. So thank you so much, Emma, for going on the journey with me. I hope you loved this conversation with Emma. You can find her on LinkedIn as Emma Cowsill, which is spelled Cowsill. And she is an ADHD and neurodivergent coach for founders and leaders, and also does neuro-inclusion consulting for organisations. I hope you loved all of the learning from Emma today. I particularly love how she was prepared to go on the journey, whilst, yes, wanting to know all of the things that she needs to know, still being open and flexible enough to try her own ways. If you would like to join me inside the business of coaching for a similar journey, then do click the link in the show notes. If you scroll to the bottom of the page, there is a short application you can complete so I can learn more about you. I will get back to you on whether the program looks like a good fit for you. And like I always say, trust yourself, believe in yourself, and be the wise gardener who keeps on watering the seed.